So, can you introduce yourself real quick?
My name's Brandy Olson. I'm a social worker for Weber Human Services.
Perfect. And then I'll just begin answering or asking you questions and you can answer them. So like what got you to this point in life? How did you find yourself kind of working in the position you're in now?
So, short story, I wanted to be a teacher and I couldn't take public speaking, so I changed my major.
Fair enough.
But there's just been a lot. I'm always the one everybody comes to. I'm the one that takes care of everybody. This is just like I knew I wanted to work with people and take care of people, so I did work with children through Child Protective Services, but it was too hard on me. I couldn't.
That's really interesting. A lot of people have said that before.
Yeah. So the elderly are wonderful because they don't have parents that are screwing them up.
I get that. And so, going on with that, at the end of every day, what would you consider, like, successful? Like, if there's one part of your day, like, where you knew, okay, I did something really well.
Just every day that I know that I'm making a difference, helping somebody get set up with services, or some days are struggle. You don't feel like it, and then you'll get a card out of the blue that says, hey, thanks for all your help, or you'll run into a family member and they'll tell you, I just don't know what we would do without you, or you get mentioned in somebody's obituary, and that's kind of like, dang, maybe we are making a difference.
That's really nice. And with, like, your job being so draining, like, are there any techniques you use, like, coping mechanisms, or anything that helps you with stress? Because of how draining, like...
Well, there's just a small group of us that do the same thing. And so we do a lot of just talking to each other. I can't say that we haven't been guilty of taking a day off early and doing some day drinking in the pool. Just saying. Last Saturday. Last Friday, maybe got a little sunburned, but...
So, and do you work with, like, mainly the elderly?
Yeah, elderly and disabled.
Okay. And so with your clientele, like, it's more expected that you can lose them because of their age. Has there any training you've gone through, or is it just, like, through time that you're getting more okay with losing them?
I think it's just time, because the first couple of clients that you lose is really hard. But if you've been with them long enough and you've seen the quality of life that they're living, most of our clients, well, all of our clients come from a nursing home, and we put them in the community. So we can find some peace in knowing that while they were on our program, they were either in their home or they were in an assisted living, and their quality of life was better. Yeah. A lot of them are hurting, and they're in pain, and they're sick, and it's almost a relief for them that that ends, and they don't have to go through it anymore. It's kind of like good for them. They passed away,
That they're out of that pain and suffering. Yeah, I can understand that. And so you're pretty used to this. How many years have you been doing this?
In my current job, I've been 14 years, and then so about 18 years.
And would you say, like, you and your coworkers are kind of, like, a lot of like, is there a certain type of person that's best fit for this job? Or do you get, like, anybody could be used to it after time?
No, I think there's a certain kind of people. You have to really like people, and, you're not doing it for glamour or for money. God knows you're not doing it for money, because social workers don't get paid very much. But just, you have to be a special person, because a lot of people, they would be just weirded out to sit and talk to old people, or carry Depends around in their car because you got to take them to somebody.
Yeah, I understand that. And then was there ever, like, a defining moment, one where you realized, like, oh, okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing? Or has it just made sense along the way?
No, I still don't know if it's what I'm supposed to be doing.
Oh, that's interesting.
I feel like it's good. Like, I know I need to be helping people, but I don't know.
Still waiting for it almost?
Yeah.
That makes sense. Are there any duties that, like, you're known to do? Like, are there any jobs that you're specifically assigned to, or your coworkers know, like, oh, I should go to Brandy for that? Or do you kind of work across the board?
Well, there's 4 social workers and 2 nurses that each in our program, and we social workers have a role, nurses have a role, but I'm known as the IT person.
Okay.
Nobody, seems like nobody knows how to do things on computers, and so they all come, Brandy will know what to do.
Okay, that's pretty interesting.
Apparently I'm the only one that keeps notes of our meetings and stuff too, so they'll all come to me and want to know, remember when we had that meeting and they taught us how to do this or that? They come to me for help.
And have you been working longer than most of your current coworkers?
With the exception of my supervisor, who's been there
Okay, that's
2
pretty
years,
interesting.
in this program 2 years more than me.
How long? And you said you've been working for about 18 years, but the program?
The program I'm in now has been 14 years.
Oh, okay, so that was the 14 years. Okay.
The program was brand new to the area 16 years ago.
Okay.
So my supervisor helped get it up and running, and then she needed to hire more social workers to carry it out.
And then you tagged along with
Yeah.
that. That's awesome. So okay, that's really cool.
Pretty much been there since the startup.
And so I can only imagine that there's some sort of stigma around elderly care, and what is one thing that people may not know or, like, understand. Like, some people always think elderly aren't the best taken care of. What do you feel about that?
Well, there's a lot of negative about nursing homes, and I don't work in one specific nursing home, but I go to all the nursing homes, and it's not about what you see on the news. There are 100 people in each one of those nursing homes, and the staff that are working there, for the majority, they're working there because they love people, and they take really good care of them. Once in a while you hear about one bad person, but there's hundreds and thousands of people in nursing homes around the country that are being taken care of, and I think recognition that for that staff of the work that they do, and that nursing homes aren't all bad. There's a time and a place for a nursing home, and when it comes to me, like, I told my son, don't stick me in your basement because you have this obligation to take care of me. Put me in a nursing home where I can do activities and have communication with people.
It's more beneficial in the
Yeah.
long run.
And then when you come and visit me, we can visit, and you don't feel like, a lot of elderly say they feel like they're a burden to their family. And when they're in a care center, that burden goes off to them.
Are there any situations where the state may not supply any support to you in your program? Do you receive a lot of support or, like, financial aid, or how's this run? Is this a private?
Okay, so
program?
our program is called New Choices Waiver, and it is a Medicaid. It's a Medicaid waiver. So our funding comes from Medicaid. So that's income-based help. And then we're just an additional Medicaid program.
Okay.
So all of our clients have Medicaid for financial and medical, and then we can just supply extra help. Like, for the most case, everything we need is taken care of. But, we're subject to all the same possible cuts and rules if the state decides to cut Medicaid. The one thing I'll say is our program is a money-saving program.
For families?
For Medicaid
Okay.
dollars. So everybody in Utah who meets the qualifications for a nursing home, it's an entitlement. If they qualify, Medicaid has to pay for them to be in a nursing home. Our program can take care of 2 people for the same price as the nursing home for 1. So we actually,
Helping.
we can get them out. They have a better quality, and we're saving tax dollars we can serve twice as many people as under just Medicaid, nursing home Medicaid.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And so you had mentioned if they fall under certain qualifications. That kind of falls into my next question, which is, do the services you can supply have an age limit, or where someone could be too young, or like disabilities?
Our program is open to anyone who meets the medical requirements and the financial requirements, 18 and over. The financial requirements are just whatever Medicaid is, you know.
Yeah.
Medically, they have to meet their need. They have to need a nursing home, or have some kind of cognitive issue, or have other problems with their ADLs, things that, you know, we have to justify that we're not just taking people who could be served in home with other services.
But they need it.
They have to. We have a need.
Okay.
So we get a referral, and our nurses have to go out and do an assessment to see that they meet the level of care required for our program.
Okay, that's good. Okay, so this somewhat answers what you've already gone through, but basically your program will cover what the state can't?
Yeah.
Because, say you have a patient who is not able to work and they really can't afford anything. Would your program still take them in?
If they meet nursing home requirements.
Okay.
Yeah, so Medicaid will pay. Medicaid's always the payer of last resort, like if anybody has money or other insurances. And then our program kind of pays things that are needed that Medicaid won't cover. For example, we can do bathroom equipment. Okay. Medicare and Medicaid don't ever cover bathroom type equipment, but through our program, we can get it authorized for shower chairs or toilet risers, things like that. That is a $20 or $30 item that could mean the difference of somebody being independent in toileting or showering versus needing someone.
An assistant.
Yeah.
Okay, that's actually really interesting. Wow. I like that. And then, I can only imagine the amount of pressure and demand your duties bring you. And I'm sure this has led to doubt. And do you ever feel like you're not capable of doing your job? With family, do you ever feel like families are demanding too much of you or relying too much on you?
I think that everybody feels that way sometimes. And every once in a while, I'm sure I do. There is a few people that'll come around who have this feeling that the world owes them something and they want the Medicaid credit card, you know, give me everything. And then, so those people are frustrating.
Yes.
But, you know, we just have to educate them that there is no Medicaid credit card. And we'll do, based on their needs, we'll make sure they're taken care of. But
they don't need more than, they're not going to get more than what they need.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. And then, working through these doubts, you kind of said you just go along with the flow almost, that you just take it as it comes.
Yeah, there's a lot, and my coworkers, there's a lot of just venting and talking, where we know that in our office it's confidential of all of the clients we share, and we can talk about people and problem solve. And
so you're not alone.
Yeah, a lot of it is just talking about it and getting other insight into what someone else has done in the same situation or similar.
So it's super important to educate each other of what's going on?
I wouldn't even say it's important to teach each other, but just that to be there to listen to each other when you are stressing out, and then share stories then that have been helpful.
That makes much more sense.
At the office, some people get really high strung, and they always say that I'm just cool and calm and that, does anything really upset you? But I've just been doing it for a long time, and there's only so much you can do. You give it your best, and some people will appreciate that and some won't. And that's all you can do. There's no sense bringing it home with you and ruining your,
night.
Your night or your weekend or
That's a really good approach.
Yeah.
And so do many people reach out to volunteer with your program?
No.
Oh, really? Okay.
I don't know why, if it's based on just that the level of the information, like what we don't do a lot of hands-on stuff. We do more case management. So probably the companies that we contract with to provide the care, those agencies I'm sure would get more volunteers. And of course, Weber Human Services as a whole, they have all kinds of volunteer programs. So they probably have where they would feel best use.
And if you don't know this answer, that's fine. But what's usually the age range that people are coming out? Are they people around the age of teenage, young adults?
For what? Volunteers?
Volunteers. Grown adults?
Yeah, actually, well, through Weber Human Services, they have a senior volunteer program or a retired person's volunteer program. So because I'm affiliated more with the aging side, they're mostly retired volunteers. So, 55 to 80.
Okay. In what ways do you wish the community could maybe become more involved? If there were more people volunteering into your program?
I just think that one-on-one time with the elderly is, if there was more people to just go visit, just sit down with the little old person and visit, and just give them the time that they aren't getting because of the staff's busy or their families are busy. They've got a lot to share, and I think that our country doesn't value the elderly like other places do. We just kind of brush them aside, but there's so much to be learned if we would sit down with them and just say, and just listen,
Yeah. And that, I really do like that sometimes they just need someone to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
It's really important. And it's really easy to see that there would be times where emotions from families can kind of overwhelm them. And do you ever feel like there's fingers being pointed towards you or your coworkers instead of the problem at hand?
Oh yeah. Families get mad all the time, and it's my fault or her fault, or the nurse didn't do this, or the social work told me this. And, we just, if it's something that we did, we just tell them. First thing, if you make a mistake, admit it and say you're sorry. You are human. And then do what you can to help them resolve it. We have people mad at us all the time.
I can see that.
Families get upset. But on the flip side, families get upset about a lot of other things. Medicaid is a very confusing process. And death, dying, nursing homes, all that stuff is very emotional for families. So even if you can just reach out and say, how can I help? Or let me fill that paperwork out for you. Just something very simple to us could be the breaking point for a family member who's trying to hold it all together.
Yeah.
So, for everyone that points a finger at us, they also have a hug for you to say, I don't know how I would have done this without you. So
it's really nice that you take that into consideration when working with these people.
Yeah.
I can only imagine that it could be kind of draining sometimes, always.
Yep, and those are the ones that get you through. One family member telling you that you helped them is enough to get you through the next 5 that you ruined their life.
Yeah. I can see that. And then, so looking at where you are now after so many years of doing this, would you do it all over again? Because you had mentioned at one point you wanted to be a teacher, or would you stick with this?
No, I would do it all over again.
That's awesome.
I mean, really, it is kind of where I belong, even though it doesn't pay very good.
I understand that.
The money makes you bitter, kind of.
Yeah.
But just because in some parts of the country, there is a value to social work, and they're paid to their value, and Utah's not one of those states.
Yeah.
And it just sucks.
Yeah, I understand that. And
As long as I make enough to pay my student loan payment, I'm good, right?
yeah, I understand that one. I get where you're going with that. And then, so you have worked in this position or in this program for so many years. Have you worked up to where you are, or are you at like the base level? You said your supervisor's been ahead of
Yeah.
you. Are you above anybody else, or?
Not really. We're just a team.
Okay, so it's more of a team aspect.
Yeah, there is a supervisor role, just the person that has to go represent us for meetings and check timesheets and things like that. I'm not too interested in that, just because it's the same work that we do plus that, whereas I just feel like for me, just taking care of people is what I want to do. And
That's
whoever my
awesome.
supervisor is, as long as they just leave me alone, let me do my work, that I'm fine with that. I don't have, as far as like getting a master's degree, because I have a bachelor's degree, I don't want to be a therapist. I don't want to get inside people's heads. So going on to get a master's degree isn't
And isn't
an issue for me.
Is your bachelor's degree in social work?
Yeah.
With just social work or a focus on elderly?
It was social work with a minor in psychology.
Okay.
So,
That's really cool. Where'd you go?
Weber State.
That's awesome. And then, so I'm just going to close off with the final question. Abuse of the elderly can be pretty common. You kind of already answered this a little bit earlier in our interview, but what procedures, policies, or protocol is taking place when that finger could be pointed at a company or?
Well, we do everything we can to, of course, respect everybody. There's just ways to do things that some rules. You never commingle your money. You don't take cash from your clients and go. There's a hassle involved because it'd be really easy for me to just take $10 from somebody, go buy what they need, and come back. But because you don't know who else is watching, if somebody only sees the taking of $10,
yeah,
there's too much speculation. And for our company, we don't have, we just have everything in place to protect us, that we have rules against doing things like that, so we don't have to worry about that. On the other hand, with the elderly being, our main goal is to report any suspected, by law, anyway, by law, you have to report it. So anytime that there is any suspected or allegations of abuse, exploitation, we are contacting the police or Adult Protective Services or both or everybody.
So there are quite a few.
Most common that I see is exploitation, which is spending people's money.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can see that.
And that's very common. People want to give, the greatest generation, that's who we're dealing with, and they want to take care of everybody and give. And so the most frustrating part is when you have a client who's being exploited by their family, but they won't press charges because they don't want them to get in trouble.
I could see that being a problem you're facing sometimes with your clients.
So a lot of times, not that this happens a lot, but when it does happen, we report it, and the families have to deal with the implications because the state can pursue charges, but also when money's involved, it could affect their Medicaid eligibility, and then the person doesn't have Medicaid and you have problems.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.